Hi, welcome to episode 8, Clojurescript, Domina and Crate. Okay, so we'll start by looking at these two DOM manipulation libraries. We've seen Domina before, and Domina allows us to do things like find elements and add elements. And we can set styles as well on elements. And it also wraps the Google Clojure event handling. I will admit I've tried this and I did have a few problems with the event handling when using light table in interactive mode. So what I did is I dropped down to the Google Clojure stuff. There's some notes about some extra JavaScript you need to include if you're using IE or Android. So I guess it's this thing that should be included in every page. Okay, so that's Domino, and then Crate comes from the same guy who made light table. And that lets you make HTML from within the web page, from within Clojurescript. Okay, seems quite simple. And for anyone who knows Hiccup, it's similar. Okay, so let's make a new project for this. I'll probably make some mistakes, but as time goes on I'll get better at doing this. As I said in other episodes, I'm learning at the same time. So, let's call it Domina and Crate. Sorry, doing. Okay, so next I want to make a default project. To remember what the syntax is. Okay, so it would make the directory for me. So okay, so it's line dot show new app Domina Crate. Okay, so next I'll start light table, which we're using as the IDE. This is from the last project, so I can clear this. Okay, so here's the project file. We'll make a file which will be the HTML file. Okay, so we'll just start by opening this in a web browser. Okay, so I can never remember that. I'll put it in here to remind me later. I should set the colours. You have to remember it starts with a black background in light table, but normal web browsers, they have white background. So I think it makes sense to change the style. So we can say body background white, text color black. Okay, and that should work in both. Okay, so here's a HTML page. Next we need to edit the project.clj file. Well, we need to continue editing it. So that's there. One nice thing in light table, which isn't available in some IDEs like Eclipse, is that it accepts Emacs shortcuts like Control A and Control E. Okay. Dependencies. Okay, so now we need to find the stuff to put in project.clj. So I've got a project.clj for another project, so maybe I'll take that. Let's have a look. Okay, so here's one which includes both the Domina and Crate dependencies. And a Google Clojure library as well. We'll include the plugin for Clojurescript. And we'll include all the CLJS path stuff. So source here will be our source code, and we'll output to main.js. I'll just see another example of how to include the JavaScript. No, that's not a good example. Okay, so there's quite a bit of setup every time we want to make a project, but once we have it, it will be quite fast. So this script is saying read the compiled Clojurescript from main.js. That main.js doesn't exist yet because we still have to compile the Clojurescript code, and there isn't any of that yet because we only have this default CLJ file. We'll remove that. And we'll make new file main.cljs. So in the project definition, we can make main file. I think this is where we specify the Clojurescript as well. So we can make ns Domina Crate can do something like JS alert. Hello. So let's start lining. Okay, so we're already in the Domina and Crate directory, so now we can do dot line.shell cljs build once. Takes a while the first time. Okay, so now you can see it's made main.js. So now if we load this web page again, it's output something. Now since we're within Lighttable, we should be able to interactively execute code. It takes a while the first time again. You can see there, so now we're connected. We'll change lining good so it compiles automatically now. Okay, so the next thing is we want to include the Domina and Crate libraries. But before we do that, let's make an element we can amend. Div id equals Domina Crate. Let's just call it DC. Okay, we can get rid of this actually. So now, maybe you hadn't compiled yet because when you make the change, it has to compile it again. Okay, now it's done it. Okay, so now it doesn't give the alert. Because every time you edit the code in here, it goes and compiles the JavaScript in the background with line here, and it updates this main.js, which you can see is compiled to Clojurescript, compiles into JavaScript. Okay, and that's included here. Okay, so let's go and see what we have to do to include. Let's get access to the DOM elements first. I've actually got a file where I'll have a look for an example. Okay, here's another set of tutorials which looks quite good. Huh. Okay, that's good. So, is this the latest version though? Yeah, this is what we've already added that. I've actually already got a file which I've used for Domina in the past. So here you can see it's got stuff for both Crate and Domina. It'll just save us a lot of typing. So let's take a look. So you can see it requires some stuff here, and then we use here, which means you get shortcuts to the code. And that's for both Domina, normal events, and some macros which are used for Crate. Okay, so let's see, is that compiled okay? Yes. So what we can do by ID is a Domina command to get the contents of an element. What do you think the by ID? Oh no, it's DC. Sorry. Okay, so now we've got the element with by ID. You can see by ID here. It's one of the selectors of Domina. And then we can add something to the DOM. Well, by ID we included it here, by the way, in the top, and now we're going to use append here. So we could see if this works as well. Oh yeah, that worked. Okay, so two very basic commands. Now the next thing we're going to look at is the generation of HTML, which here you see we've just done it as a string, but we can actually do it using Crate, using Clojurescript native, like the just a native way of doing it. So we know we have an element here. Now let's just see how to use Crate. So we have this here. Oh, okay. I actually copied too much. Okay, so let's see. You can see it's really just generating something basic there. So now let's do append to this element this. Oh, okay, wow. Okay. So it's using Domina and Crate together. So it's kind of nice because you can see here that you can define stuff using native Clojurescript commands. Let's see what happens if we try and load this outside of here. Okay, so you can see here we have an ID of blah2. So if we inspect element, you can see it's generated blah2 here. So this DOM structure comes from this from Crate. Now, just to give you a bit of background about this, Crate comes, of course, from the same guy who made Light Table. And you can see he's got Noir, Corma, CLJS. He's got here Crate. So he uses it himself. I presume he uses it within Light Table because Light Table is built in Clojurescript itself. Okay. Anyway, the documentation, I'll admit, there really is not so much. I mean, you have this thing with def partial, and it just uses this for the whole DOM. So you have elements, attributes, that's it really. Domina has a bit more documentation. It's also got a few more things for. It's more like jQuery, and it's even. I think it's inspired. Yeah, it's inspired by it as well. And they've got a lot of things for selecting elements and adding elements and stuff like that. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you these two libraries. There's also stuff where you can add event handling to Domina, but I couldn't get it the last time I tried to work in Light Table. But that was with a slightly older version, so maybe we can try it again. Okay, so listen. By ID DC. So we're saying when you click on this, you can make an alert. Okay, let's see if it works. No, it doesn't seem to have worked. It's funny though, because if you actually see, it's not working interactively, but it's recompiled. Now if you try and if you recompile it, it works. Now, it's strange because if you actually use the let's get rid of this. If you use the Google listeners, they do let you use them interactively. Which I can show you. We've got here. Oh, okay, so just listen without the bang. Have an example. I'll copy. Oh, okay, so this is the Google Clojure library version. Right, let's comment it out first. So we will compile in the background. So have no listeners. Now we try the Domina one. Nothing happens. Try the Google library one. It works. So this is one of the things I guess the people who are making the libraries are going to have to work on to make sure they all work interactively. I'm not sure what the problem is here, but yeah, it is a bit of an issue. Anyway, so I think I'll finish here. So I just wanted to show you these two Clojurescript libraries in more detail today. And that's it for today, and I hope you join me next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.